Okay, now you have a gun. Now that you have to take the next step with that gun, and that is to train with that gun. You need to practice with that gun. You need to learn how to use that gun. You need to learn how to disassemble that gun. You need to learn how to clean it, put it back together. You need to test it for reliability. You need to test it for accuracy. You need to know that gun inside and out. Too many people skip this step. Now, I'm not one of these people that will tell you have to put 1,000 rounds for it before you can trust that gun. Most revolvers, if you put 50 rounds through them and they're good, they're going to be good. Most semi-autos, if you put 100 rounds through them and they're good, they're going to be good. I've found that every gun that has failed on me in reliability tested has always failed in the first 100 rounds. I've never had one fail after the first 100 rounds. Now, some people will. But sometimes I think when you push guns too far, like when you're one of these people, I'm going to test 1,000 or 2,000 rounds through my gun, well then you've gone beyond the testing stage and you've gone into the now there's a considerable wear on the gun. So you're almost forcing a failure if you shoot it that much that often. So every gun will fail eventually in some way if it's shot enough. So I always said you gotta try to find that happy medium to where you've determined that it's reliable but you're not trying to force a malfunction. So that's the stage I think a lot of people skip too much. Practice with it, learn that gun inside and out, learn how to clean it, learn how to take care of it. Don't be the person that says, I own a gun, but I don't know anything about it. Know your gun and know what it's capable of doing. Okay, now this next step, it's very difficult. It turns a lot of would-be concealed carriers into just people with home defense guns. And that is choosing a holster that works for you. Now this is a problem that comes up for everyone who decides to carry, because it seldomly is the first holster you try going to work for you. I have found that most people, they will start with trying outside waistband holsters, and then because of fears of concealment, they'll try inside waistband holsters. I've never met very many people that the first couple of times they tried inside waistband holster that it works for them. They just find them really physically uncomfortable. Appendix carry holsters, I find them extremely uncomfortable. I tried those at first and I went to strong side. I started with outside waistband, went to inside waistband, both in all different positions. Cross draw, you know, there's just so many different options that your chances of getting it right the first time is very slim. And since you're not going to get it right the first time, you're probably going to buy multiple holsters. So if you can't afford to buy multiple holsters, find friends that have holsters that you can try. I have loaned holsters to people to try. I've loaned my Bianchi carry locks to multiple people to let them try them for a week, and then they give them back to me, and if they want one, they buy one. So that's a great idea. Always don't be afraid to ask people in your area, people you know, that if they have a certain type of holster, if you can borrow one and try it. If you're a good, honest person and you know them well enough, they'll probably let you. I can't really see many reasons why I wouldn't let someone I know. So choosing a holster is very, very hard. Once you choose one you think you like, don't try just taking it off on your day and then trying to deal with the problems it presents from wearing it on your daily routine. Wear it around the house for a couple of days first. You know, put it on, try to get comfortable with it in your home, realize, oh yeah, I can't bend this way when I'm wearing it this way, I can't step this way, if I do this it shows. Practice around the house, learn those things about your holster, and be prepared to buy multiple holsters. I have literally, with certain guns, spent more for the holsters I went through on the gun than I did for the gun. This next to last part is adjusting physically to the holster. This is very difficult. It's not easy. It's not something that comes natural to most people. Carrying a large, heavy chunk of steel or plastic, or just steel, or aluminum, or whatever it is on your side is not something we normally do. If we do carry things, like people that are used to carrying like PDAs and stuff, they're used to carrying them in pouches where you can see them, they're open, they're not worried about concealing them. So when you're going to be a concealed carrier, you have to get comfortable with something inside your waistband or with a heavy weight on your belt. So it's not an easy thing to do. Don't get discouraged. It is very uncomfortable at first for most people. When I first tried, I started to carry multiple times and then stopped because I'm just like, this is just too uncomfortable. So, you know, I eventually got used to it. I got to where I'm so adjusted to it now, it does not bother me that it's there. I don't even notice that it's there. And if you put a little effort into getting used to it, you'll get the same way. You'll get to where you can't even notice it. It's part of your everyday thing, and it's not a big deal anymore. But it will seem like a big deal at first. So don't get discouraged and stop carrying just because it feels uncomfortable. Keep trying. Don't feel like you have to stick with one way. Try it multiple ways until you feel like you can adjust to it. And once you're comfortable with the gun, then you'll realize, hey, this wasn't so bad after all. Now this final aspect is probably the most difficult aspect that I've seen most people have the most problem with. Now I've told you about all the other ones that are difficult, but this one is probably the hardest to overcome, and that is to be mentally comfortable with the gun. You've already become physically comfortable, now you have to be mentally and emotionally comfortable with the gun. You have to feel comfortable that you're not afraid of the gun. It's one thing, and that's where the training and stuff comes into effect. You can't be afraid of your own weapon. You have to maintain a certain level of respect, fearful respect of your gun, and know what it's capable of. But if you're constantly in fear that something's going to go wrong, you're probably going to cause something to go wrong. If you're afraid of the trigger, you're probably going to make a mistake with the trigger. If you're afraid of the safety, you're probably going to make a mistake with the safety. So be comfortable with the gun. But that also includes being emotionally and mentally comfortable with the fact that you're carrying and realizing that everyone isn't looking at you. Because like I said, like a lot of people will start off, they'll carry a certain weapon, then they'll be like, oh, it prints too much, I can't wear it, people see the bulge. People don't know what the bulge is, and even if they do know what the bulge is, it's none of their business. It's not illegal to print in most states. Now in some states it's illegal to obviously print, so you got to check your own state laws. But in most places, just a bump is not going to constitute printing. If your grip is making a point right here, most people aren't going to notice it. I've never seen anyone convicted in court of printing in that way. So if you just understand that most people aren't paying attention to you, most people are more wrapped up in their own little worlds that they don't care what the bump under your shirt is. You start to be more comfortable and you start to feel like you don't have to try so hard to conceal. Like when I first started carrying, I felt like I had to wear a coat all the time. And then I had to wear big oversized sweaters to cover things. And then I started realizing I just need to put a t-shirt on. I've done videos on just carrying under a t-shirt. So in the end, once you realize that you're the one that has the most problem with it, not the people around you, it's easier to overcome your own problem. Because then you just have to convince yourself, no one's looking at me, it's not printing that badly. So once you become comfortable with your gun and that you're not afraid of it and that you realize other people aren't staring at you like some kind of freak just because you're carrying, then you've really won the battle. And then you can carry the rest of your life comfortably, both physically and mentally. So once you've counted through all the steps that I've shown you here, it's so easy to carry a gun. I mean, it's just easy. It just takes a lot of steps to get to it, and it's so easy to get discouraged on the way. So if a lot of people just realize along the way that you are going to face these, in the end, I think we'll have a lot more people that successfully are able to carry a gun comfortably and safely.